Hey concert choir, or anyone else who decides to watch. This is a continuation video on simplistic rhythm analysis, or the topic that I discussed in the first video, which is basically a newer method to sight reading rhythms that could be easier. So, there were a couple topics that I talked about in the last video that established the principles, but there were also a lot more topics that I did not talk about, and that was because I felt like they were a tiny bit more complicated and needed a whole nother video to explain. So, one of those topics that I need to talk about are triplets. So, let's see a triplet rhythm. So we are in 4/4, so that means there are 4 beats in each measure, and the quarter note gets the beat. And I'm just going to do the first measure here in the one-ienda method, and you're going to get do, do, triple, do, do, do. So I did 1 and triple, 1, bum, 1 and. Now, for simplicity's sake, I just didn't do the rest of it. But now we're going to go on to SRA. And this could look scary, but I'll explain it. This is what you have to do when dealing with the numbers. Now, it looks complicated, but I'm going to ask you to refer to what we did in this one first. So, if you remember, what did we do? We took the smallest note, that we had, set that equal to 1, and found out how many of that note is in all the others. So for instance, 1, 1, 2, 4, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, right? Same process here. What is our smallest note in this rhythm? The 8th note, right? But here's the difference. We also have an odd rhythm. We have an even rhythm and an odd rhythm. So what you're going to have to do, you're going to take your even rhythm and multiply it by your odd rhythm. And how you do that is, let's see, an 8th note, that's 1/2 of a quarter. So we have 1/2. And a triplet is 1/3 of a quarter. So that's 1/3. 1/2 times 1/3 is 1/6. So each of these notes can be represented by some number over 6. And that's what these horizontal line bars mean, because I didn't want to write 6 over 6, 2 over 6, 2 over 6. You got to write 6, all these numbers over 6, all these numbers. It just makes it neater. So, for instance, I'm not going to show you the math. So here we go. Our smallest even note was an 8th, and our smallest odd was a triplet, so you get 6. So then, yeah, 1/2 of a quarter note times 1/3 of a quarter note equals 1/6 of a quarter note. So, I will now sight read all this in this form. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I hope that made sense. And we're going to be moving on to the next topic I did not talk about in the previous video, and that was other time signatures. Now, I did do 3/4, but we did not talk about stuff like 6/8 and other time signatures. So, here we have a rhythm in 6/8. And what does 6/8 mean? 6/8 means there's 6 beats in each measure, and the 8th note gets the beat. Now, what's actually really cool about this method is that kind of doesn't matter, because if we were doing this with the one-ienda method, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2, like that. But with the simplistic rhythm analysis, do the same thing we've always been doing. Take the smallest note, 16th, set that equal to 1, find out how many of that note is in each and every other note. So look, 2, 2, 4, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 4, 4, 4, 2, 2. And I believe that's what I have here. And now I'll do this. And this is now in 6/8. So it's 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's sight reading in any other time signature. Now, this is the part that gets really, really mathy. So, buckle down. But it's okay, I'll explain it. This is the more bonus section, which goes over more of the math of this method. And here, I'll just start off with the basic thing. So if you're given a time signature A over N, this means there are A nth notes per measure. So for instance, 6/8, it does mean there are 6 beats in each measure, and the eighth note gets the beat, or you could just say there's 6 eighth notes in each measure. It's literally what it means. 4 quarter notes in each measure. And here's what each of the end numbers mean. So A's on our top, N's on the bottom. So these are the end values. So you have 1 is a whole note, 2 is a half note, 4 is a quarter, 8 is an eighth note, 16 is a 16th note, and 32 is a 32nd note. Now for the odd numbers, you have 3 is a triplet, 5 is a quintuple, and 7 is a septuple. Very rare. But yeah, so this basically explains, so if we go back here, that explains how to do other time signatures. So let's just go back here. 3, 4. There are 3 quarter notes in our measure. 4 quarter notes in our measure. Now, if you remember from this thing, each measure here added up to 12. Each measure here added up to 12. Each measure here added up to 8. Yes, 8. How does that work? Well, there's a formula for that. And the formula is the number 4 times our time signature times D of Q. And D of Q equals the number of nth notes that fit into a quarter note. And that means if you have an eighth note, 2 eighth notes fit into a quarter note. Let me think. 16th note. 4 16th notes fit into a quarter note. So D of Q would be 4. So, for instance, let's use this formula real quick and apply it to our very first example. So let's see. What is our smallest thing here? An eighth note. So that's 1/2. So we know D of Q is 1/2. What's our time signature? 4 over 4, which is 1. So now, it's 1/2. Sorry, 2 eighth notes fit into our quarter note. So that means D of Q is 2. I'm sorry. D of Q is 2, because 2 eighth notes fit into a quarter note. So, for instance, let's plug it in. 4 times 4 over 4 times 2 is 8. And what do these all add up to? 1, 1. 1 is 2, plus 2, plus 4, 8. And this could work theoretically for anything. So let's say you had some wacko thing, 712. 712, and you divided it by quarter notes. So it would be 4 times 7 over 12. So 4 divided by 12, that would be, so it's 7/3 times 1. So that would mean if you had a measure where it was, 7/12 of quarter notes, were your smallest notes, all of them should add up to 7/3. So I hope you enjoyed this little extra video. And yeah, I hope this helps.